Let's talk about like what you did in terms of, validating the idea. Was this more about, okay, you just started building the product, or did you kind of go through and do the, customer validation thing and interview some of your customers? Like, how did you get to a point where you were like, I'm confident that, we're going to invest time and money into building this product. We're going to bootstrap, right? So you don't have the benefit of having raised any money, and you've got an agency business to keep running at the time.
So that's a lot of questions to unpack. First, we didn't do what today you would recommend to do, like doing customer research, validating a product idea. We were way too naive. I was way too naive to do that. Also, for a very, very long time, I really thought like this. Yeah, this is a side project, really. Maybe I can sell it to 10 or 20 agency customers. That would have been already like paradise for me. So nowadays, Swat.io has, I think, more than 700 customers, right? So, so the vision wasn't fully developed yet in my head, to be honest. Yeah. So, so that's the criticism I would see for myself looking back. What we did right is that we were working on the product very closely with our future customers. We really made sure to build the first prototype, not within months, probably even within weeks, and get our customers their hands on it and start using it. They didn't pay yet, of course, but they gave us a lot of feedback, which mostly helped us in really finding that sweet spot and later reaching what you would call product market fit. Although I have to say it's also dangerous. If you only have like a handful of existing agency customers who give you feedback, that can also very easily drive the product management, the product direction into a wrong into a wrong way. So you get easily distracted by a single customer who has these crazy demands and crazy ideas, which might sound right for them, but will never be applicable to a broader number of customers. So that was difficult to navigate. And if I'm honest, there's still, I think even to this day, you will still find the odd feature in our product that clearly can be traced back to one specific customer who had a lot of, who had a big word, who had a big presence in our minds and therefore influenced product management.
How long did it take for you to get your first 10 customers, and did they all come from existing agency clients?
Yeah, I would say the first 10 customers definitely took more than 1 year, something between 1 or 2 years. So it was really a kind of slow process, but that also has to do with some lessons I had to learn during that time. We can talk about that later. And those first 10 to 20 customers, they were not exclusively existing agency customers. Luckily, what we achieved was that these early agency customers then started to spread the word, and then new customers were joining. So after this 1 or 2 year period, we were pretty sure that we have a viable product on our hands, something that it's worth to really go not all in, but definitely allocate significant resources towards.
Okay, so it took a couple of years to get the first 10 customers for SWAT, and presumably it wasn't, an easy thing to do because you've still got to run the agency, you've still got to get money coming in, pay the bills, keep the lights on, all that stuff, while you're allocating resources for a fair amount of time without generating revenue. So that sounds like a challenging situation anyway. But in the middle of that, you then decide, let's launch another product. How did that happen?
Sort of, yes. So just to get the timeline straight, the second product, Wasio, was launched 1 or 2 years after Swat.io, and at this point, I was already pretty much committed on Swat.io. Although you could you could ask me how committed was I when I came up with the second product idea. So I was probably not fully committed yet. Again, this came the idea for Was.io, which at its core is a social media content aggregator. So it collects user-generated content from all sorts of social media platforms. The idea for that came again from a very specific customer need, or it wasn't actually a customer, it actually was a friend of mine who was throwing in a party, an event at a co-working space. And we didn't have so many of those in Vienna back then. And we just wanted to create a fun element for this event, a video screen, collecting and encouraging everyone to post on Twitter and on platforms which are now long forgotten, like Foursquare, if anyone in your audience still remembers that. We didn't have Instagram back then. So the idea came again from a close ally / customer / partner. And once we built that for this event, suddenly other people were asking for it. So again, I had the feeling, maybe this could be more than a side project, a one-off project. Maybe we could productize this. So it was very much the same or similar story on how we came up with the idea. But of course, in hindsight, I might have just said no and focused on the first idea. But I just couldn't say no to a great product idea that was put right in front of me.
I'm curious, when we talk about the two products today, they are clearly different, serve a very clear purpose and need. But in the early days, you could kind of put them both into a social media app bucket, right? So it possibly would have been as easy to say, let's just build all of this into one product. Did you go through that thought process where it's like, why aren't we just, building this Uber product for social media that does all of these things versus saying, no, let's just do this completely different, completely separately, its own brand. It's, how did you make that decision?
That's a great question. We did consider that for a while. The issue that I saw and still see, if you want to have like this 360 social media suite, that beast that can do everything, we would not have been able to pull that off in the way we were bootstrapped. So there would have been way more like other competitors, which we otherwise wouldn't have to face. Bigger competitors funded with hundreds or at least dozens of millions of capital, who were able to offer these suite with way more features. There was not just Swat.io and Walso. There was social media paid advertising. There was monitoring or listening. So if you really wanted to compete in this suite with this suite approach, we wouldn't have been able to create all those products in our bootstrap situation. So that was off the table. And I think another reason for deciding to have two independent products, which later became also independent legal entities, separate companies. Another reason for that was to really allow both products and later both companies to grow and develop on their own individual growth trajectory. So they weren't like tied to each other so strong. They could both find their way, which also, of course, at one point gives you more flexibility when you're looking for partners. Maybe if you at one point decide to look for M&A scenarios, or if you're looking for investments, that's at a later stage. I think that's all easier if you have mostly separated companies, separated entities who can go their own way. But still, you are absolutely right. I'm not saying this was the absolute right or best decision. It turned out well for me and for our companies. But who knows? Who knows what would have happened if we went the other way, as you suggested. So I'm not saying this is like the only solution or the best one neither. But that was my thinking back then.